orange and blue sunset and mile high here in Broncos country. Let's get ready to ride. Russ and the rest are gonna light up the sky. We'll break it down after the game with the guys. Hometown heroes with their own sports bar. The best coverage in Denver, don't go too far. Just turn on DNVR. We are DNVR.
It is.
Unmuting you.
DNVR Broncos Live presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Head over to DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the code DNVR. RK, Hank, Zach here with you. Zach, you're looking big today, bro.
He is looking big.
Damn. No, Zach is stuck in traffic and will be here very soon. Very soon.
I love the delay of game jokes. Those
Yeah,
those are
it's
pretty good.
Yeah, we have to eat that. Like we did. We ran the play clock out.
We did. Zach especially though.
Zach, yeah, he's getting. I mean, I don't even know what happens if like the game is starting and the team doesn't come out of the locker room.
If you get back-to-back delay games in Madden online,
Get booted.
you get booted. So
Damn.
Are we booting him?
No.
I don't even think that's a real football rule.
We're gonna let him in. Zach will be here soon, so we'll see him then. But Henry, you and I dove into the tape over the last I don't know 24 hours. Alvin says Zach's just a little numbies today.
I thought, like you said, he's looking kind of big.
Can people tell on the stream that that's a Peyton Manning, like, they call that a plush?
Because 18 is
I don't.
I think that's called a plush doll.
Yeah, I'm never saying the word plush, that's for sure.
You just did.
Oh, damn it, you got me.
Anyways, we dove into the tape over the last 24 hours or so. First thing I did this morning is watch the game again. And my overarching question I want to start here with you, Hank, is after rewatching the game, did you feel better or worse? Especially just in terms of the vibes, you know, they won the game. It shouldn't be that. You shouldn't feel worse. But how did you feel after watching it?
So the tough part for me was remembering how I felt last night. Because last night I mostly just felt confused. I was just like, what is happening here? How are there so many penalties? How are all these? So it's like, where do you even put confused on scale? But I think I feel worse after going back and rewatching. Although again, like, I don't feel terrible about it still.
Yeah.
You know, the numbers aren't great, especially like the 16 points. The penalties are ugly, all that sort of stuff. It's just, you just want to see just a little bit more explosion, and things popped more in the Seattle game than they did yesterday for sure.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point there, but I knew that last night.
Yeah,
like, I knew that there was
true.
no flow to the offense last night, and I talked about it. Sometimes your game plan just doesn't work, and that's definitely what happened yesterday. The game plan didn't work. I came away feeling better, and you know, maybe this is taking a little hit of the copium, but there was a lot of stuff that was there and close, and it just didn't happen for one reason or another. And you know, if this happens next week, then I'm going to turn around and say, you know what?
Yep.
This team just doesn't make those plays. So I have to stop thinking they're going to. But right now I'm looking back and saying, like, okay, so the first drive ends because Alberto drops a pass wide open. No one near him. You could make the case that it was a little hot from Russ.
Yes.
But you have to expect your professional tight end to catch that ball. If he catches the ball, I actually do think he's going to get cut down by Stingley immediately.
Yep.
And it's going to be 4th and 4 from
38.
the 38. Yep. You're going for that.
Or kicking it. Either way, you're not punting.
Yes.
The drive is still alive.
Yeah, exactly. So that one, points off the board. Second drive, you get the end around to Montrell Washington. Awesome design. Almost doesn't work. Then it looks genius. And you get a super ticky-tack holding on Melvin Gordon, but also a just unbelievably unnecessary holding for Melvin Gordon. And what happens is the ball was going to be, I think, a couple yards inside the 20-yard line.
Yep.
And it comes all the way back out to the 42.
Yep.
And you get 2nd and 1 from there. So again, a lot
First
of
and 1.
Huh?
First and
oh yeah,
one.
first
Yeah.
and 1 from the 41 or 42. So to me, that's another chance. Maybe that doesn't, absolutely end in a touchdown, but it definitely killed the drive. Third drive is the touchdown to Sutton. That's an inch away from being a touchdown that gets called back. And then the fourth drive is the drop right by Tyree Cleveland. And so it's like the first 4 drives of the game, you had just a mental mistake, a physical mistake, a near miss, a penalty, all of these things that just the first 4 drives of the game are the game. Like, that's what sets the tone for the way the game is going to go. And that's the way the game went. It was mistake after mistake. So I came away from it being like, man, I don't know how or if they can fix this stuff, but if they do, the results are going to change.
Totally. Because they're not far off. There's a flaw. Like, they are a flawed team right now, and they need to figure out how to stop getting called for penalties. Nathaniel Hackett needs to speed things up, making decisions, but also make better decisions at the same time. And even with him, there's stuff to like, especially when you go back and watch. There's, what was it? It's 1st and 22, 2nd and 22, whatever. Javonte has that big run up the middle. The C's just part. And what happens there is there's a fullback just kind of like staggered a little bit to the left. And instead of going and blocking anybody, he just runs a little flat out to the left, brings the linebacker with him, and then there's just nobody in the middle of the field. There's a 17-yard run, and they wind up getting points on that drive. So there is stuff like that, even with Hackett, that you go back and look and say, that's a good play. That's a really good play that you drew up there. There's just a couple, obviously, that cross the line. And you know what makes me think of? In college, when I had a professor who was teaching me how to write, one of the things she said was, like, whenever you're done writing, just find the line that you think was the best and cut it out, because it's not nearly as good as you think it is. It's just like your heat check, like, piece of garbage. Like,
I think I hate that advice.
No, I love it. It's so true. You just throw in some like fake, or no, it's like you think it's so deep and smart and stuff. It's just like, get that out of there. Get that out of there.
When I have like a whiskey and I'm writing after midnight, it's like all heat checks.
But that's the thing, is you take the one out and all of a sudden it just like makes it the tone is no longer like, look what I can do. It's like, this is just read it. Just read it. And with the fullback option, like, that's the one where you should say, hey, maybe we're just not, maybe I'm not that guy. Maybe I'm not the guy who drives up fullback options on 3rd and 1.
Maybe you are, though. And they practiced that play a bunch throughout the week. And you just have to be able to count on your guys to execute. And Nathaniel Hackett said it. He wasn't going to throw anyone under the bus. He's like, we had a mental error on that play, and it definitely came from the right side. And I don't remember, because I didn't hear the Nathaniel Hackett quote till after I rewatched the game, so I didn't look who it was. But you see someone gets blown back or either walks back, whatever. They're going backwards.
It's 2 of them. It's Glasgow and it's Fleming. Fleming pushed back farther than Glasgow. Both of them do a horrible job.
Wouldn't you expect on that play they're supposed to get out?
I mean, yes. But then you need somebody else to get in. Well, and maybe not, though, because you do need the one defender unaccounted for. So you do need the one guy on the edge who nobody's blocking, because that's who you read.
I would expect on a play like that, you take at least one of those guys out to go lead block, and then you're essentially leaving his guy to go get Beck, who pitches it out to Javonte, who has all that room.
That could work.
I think that's what they were designing there, and I was trying.
Could be.
And it looks like they just didn't, on the right side, run the play.
And that's what Hackett said was, Beck didn't see what he thought he was going to see and made a good call to not put the ball in harm's way.
Yeah.
Just carry that thing and have a negative 3-yard run on your resume.
He definitely wanted to pitch it to Javonte, and Javonte would have had nowhere to go either. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I like the metaphor that you draw up there, which is that play call that you think is genius, take it out and then just keep calling plays.
Football isn't the most complicated game. Sometimes there's just things that have worked for the last 20 years that you just go back to.
All right, so we have numbies here. We also have a video that we want to play. So why don't we play the video? It's a little snippet preview of RG's vlog, which you can find right here on the YouTube channel. Watch that while we get set up. And look at that.
What's up? What's up?
He's here.
Wow, just like magic. You shrunk.
I shrunk. Yeah. I didn't shrink. I grew.
No, you shrunk.
Honey, I Shrunk the Zach. Do you guys understand that reference?
Of course I do. I don't know about
Henry?
Hank, but
Oh yeah, there was actually a 4D Honey I Shrunk the Kids experience at Disneyland once. Time of my life. I'll never forget it.
I think I
you
did that
squirted with
too.
water on it.
yeah. Oh, 4D basically just means they squirt water
Exactly.
on you.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the fourth dimension.
Or they like move the chair around a little, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
So
about
there's
it.
always
blow some
water.
air at
Air,
you.
yep.
Well, speaking of blowing air, we were talking about Nathaniel Hackett's quotes today, just about how the option pitch went wrong, some of the other stuff. But I think the overarching question I wanted to get from Hank, and he didn't give a real answer. I said I feel better today after rewatching it, not by a lot, but the point I was making is a little thing went wrong for you on your first 4 drives that just that stopped it for one reason or another. And I said, hey, if this happens again next week, I'm just saying, well, that's just who they are. For now, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, if you can eliminate that one thing that essentially sent a drive off the rails, then you can start having more success on offense and start flowing a little bit better.
But Ryan, that's where I was last week, and that's where I was with week 1. Okay, it's week 1. You get those preseason jitters out that if you didn't play in the preseason, and let's learn from some of these game management things. Let's learn from some of these red zone issues, and let's fix. Then we just saw it again yesterday, and
Different issues, though.
That's more of an issue potentially, and not just different issues. I mean, it's not like game management was great, but Russ went out and threw 4 picks. No, I think they were the same issues, just honestly worse.
What issues
in this game?
Because the issue on Monday night was fumbling the ball on the goal line.
Yep.
You eliminate that, you win easy.
Yep, 100%.
So that they eliminated that issue.
Yep, they did, and then they compounded so many more issues: game management, penalties, and one of the things that was different from post game last week to post game this week. Last week, Nathaniel Hackett came out in his day after press conference and gave one quote about saying how he should have done things differently. The rest of that press conference, he defended what he did and essentially said, I didn't do the wrong thing. I would have done it again, essentially. But there was one big quote, and it kind of got blown out of proportion. Today, it was very different. What he said today was he kept falling on the sword left and right, saying how he needs to get better, how he needs to get better, how he needs to do things differently. To me, that was a big positive from today in hearing Nathaniel Hackett, because what did Vic Fangio do? He said, I'm going to do it my way and I'm going to fail my way. And he failed his way. And he continued to go down his ways of doing things, and it just never worked. He never changed, so he never worked. Now, today, I got a hope from Nathaniel Hackett that things are going to change. And what it really sounds like, guys, honestly, what's going on with these game management issues, with these delay of games specifically, he's getting too much information in his headset. He has too many people helping him in the booth, and so he needs to narrow that process down of probably only one person talking to him. And we'll see if that changes and it gets a lot better. Maybe it's just going to be a bunch of delayed information getting to Hackett, because the 5 people that were talking to him now, they're talking to one person, and then that information's still delayed. But things have to change.
Yeah, and when you say game management issues, are you just talking about the delay of games?
No, well, I mean, that's part of it. But also, is a 59-yard field goal too far in Denver where a 64-yarder isn't? in Seattle. Red zone, getting the right plays in. Nathaniel Hackett, he took a lot of blame for red zone, saying the plays just have to be a lot better down there. What's happening on third down where you're not prepared for fourth down? Essentially, that's what he said. He said he needs to think further ahead. Yeah, you do. You can't assume that you're going to get every 3rd and 2 that you try, or every 4th and or 3rd and 4 that you try.
Yeah, and I think this is part of the growing pains of a rookie head coach. You know, if you think about it, when you are just a play caller, that's all you have to think about is calling the plays. When you are the head coach, you have to think about in the way that he set it up. You have to think about calling the plays. You have to think about calling the timeouts. You have to think about all that different stuff. You have to think about, what are we going to do here if it reaches 4th down? Is this a punt situation? Like, to answer your question, why is 59 out of range in Denver? I don't think it is. It was just we're better off punting it and pinning them deep because our defense has been bowing their backs all day.
Well, I disagree there. If you think it's not too far, then you kick the field goal. You don't leave 3 points off. You just said you don't think it's too far. If you don't think it's too far,
it wasn't
you
too
kick the
far.
field
It's
goal.
just it's not a guaranteed
If it's
make.
50-50, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
To give him that
But then
field
that could be
position.
too far. It's just the semantics that I
It's
disagree.
64-yard field goal was with the game on the line. Like, he thought that was essentially, we're going to make this and win, and it's going to be game over. That isn't the case for the 59-yard field goal. It's just a totally different scenario in the game.
So then it's too far.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
sure.
it's too far for that scenario, for that
Okay.
situation.
Okay.
He obviously thinks Brandon McManus can make that. They just didn't need him to make it right then because they believed in the defense.
Yeah.
As for the play calling in the red zone, I think you could definitely – I would actually nitpick week 1's more than I nitpick week 2's. The Cortland Sutton play worked. Cortland didn't get his foot down. The throw just a few plays later that people are are shitting on Russ for online today is hilarious to me because that play worked. And Russ did exactly what he's supposed to do. I think he could have done it a half a second faster, and it would have been an easy touchdown. But essentially, the play is to clear everyone out of the middle. Javonte goes and sits right there. He's wide open. The whole reason, the screenshot that's going around is Russ looking to the left with Javonte with his hands up in the middle. The reason Russ looked to the left is to clear all that space for Javonte. It's wide open. He goes back to it, and a guy gets in the way.
But wait, isn't that on Russ, though, of not going through his progressions quick enough?
Yeah, he could have gone through quicker, but it was mostly just a bad, I would say the biggest problem there is Russ being short.
Yes.
Like-
if he had thrown that sooner, I think it would have been just fine. But also, somebody would have hit him right after he caught it. Not Russ. Hit Javonte
Hit
right
Javonte.
after he
So
caught
he's
it. So you
getting
take the
j-
extra little pause, look that way, get him to sit back.
And he had plenty of
bang.
time.
He did, except that the window in the front of the pocket was just kind of closing with an arm coming in, and
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess that is what it is. It didn't work though, so it looks bad now.
Yeah, I'm just confused at whose fault is that?
No one's.
Yep.
So the Broncos had a play that didn't work, and it wasn't anyone's fault.
Yeah,
It was a good play
sometimes
by the defensive lineman.
defense just makes a good play.
Like maybe the offensive lineman should just punch the defensive lineman
But
in the gut.
to be fair to those people, because I know exactly what photo you're talking about, where Javonte has his hands in the air, screaming for the ball, and there's a wide open lane.
And literally less than a half a second later, the ball is going to Javonte.
But I mean, this is a game of you have 2 seconds to get the ball out. I mean, it's not like we're talking about where you have a minute to throw the ball.
I think he
We're
made the
talking
right
about
call.
milliseconds.
I'm just saying the design of Russ did his job, which is to use his eyes to get that player open.
Yeah.
So the screenshot that you're seeing is Russ literally doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Maybe maybe the answer is he throws a no look pass there, because if he does that, it's a touchdown.
He kind of did.
Well, then what I'm just trying to understand, because
So what
in
I'm
my
saying is
mind,
to-
so much went wrong yesterday.
Yes.
And
what I'm saying is that
it just doesn't feel like that with talking to you. It feels like everything's okay.
No, well, I mean, we'll find out. We'll
Yeah.
find out. What I'm saying is I actually liked the play calls in the red zone and inside the 5 yesterday better than I did on Monday Night Football. So if last week it was the player's fault, this week I think it's still the player's fault. It's not Nathaniel Hackett's fault.
And I still would have run the ball.
That's-
It's 5 of 6 plays inside the 5 or whatever the stat is. They've thrown the ball. Just
Also, there's
feed
one
it,
early
feed,
on
feed
that
Javonte.
Russ could have just walked in, and he's just standing there. And for whatever reason, this is maybe something that I would be concerned about.
Yes.
Russ doesn't want to run the ball.
That would be my biggest concern from the first 2 weeks, is that this Russell Wilson is just not... He's a pocket passer now. He is a pocket passer. He does not run the football. And it's not like a massive concern. I think he's going to be just fine, but that does change what you expect out of him and this offense. I thought we had a couple years of legs Russ, and now it's looking like we've got pocket passer Russ.
You have 3 rushes for Russ for 5 yards. And
I don't even remember him.
And you haven't seen him dancing in the backfield like he does. You've seen it a couple of times, but you haven't seen him turn his back to the defense where really there's only like 3 guys in the NFL that you want to do that, and Russ is one of them. You just haven't seen him be Russ. And in training camp, we're a little underwhelmed at days with Russ, and what we said was, this isn't his game. He's not used to this. We have to get him into a game to see what he's all about. Now, maybe it's just we know that there's an emphasis from Nathaniel Hackett on getting Russ to be more of a pocket passer.
I think that's what we're getting is like an
Nathaniel
experiment.
Hackett, and I think Nathaniel Hackett needs to take the reins off that a little bit, because the Russell Wilson we're seeing right now is simply just not good enough. It's not pushing to be the second best quarterback in this division, which would be incredible if he's the second best quarterback. But first 2 weeks, we've seen a lot of good, but 14 of 31 against the Texans defense is not good enough.
One thing that I think is really important to keep in mind here, though, is that the Broncos are leading the NFL in yards per drive. Now, obviously, the issues in the red zone are the issues in the red zone, but what they're doing is working in terms of moving the football.
Yep.
And they've moved the ball really, really well. And, I feel like people are maybe losing sight of the fact that how many, 3 and outs there were in the past. Like, we're not seeing that. Touch wood so it doesn't start coming up. The Broncos are moving the football. So all these, there's crazy stuff out there, but like people are saying Nathaniel Hackett needs to drop play calling duties already and like all this stuff. It's like, it's working. There's just a lot of issues that are pushing you back and holding you back.
7th in the NFL in yards per pass attempt, 7th in the NFL in yards per rush attempt. Solid.
Now, let me just throw another.
If you said that for the whole season, I'd say sign me up.
Of course, absolutely. Now, if you look at yesterday, the Broncos had 340 offensive yards. Is that right? Do you know what the average yards per game in the NFL is right now? It's 340.6. So yesterday, I just don't want to get... The Seattle game was great, and we gave them all the respect that and credit that they deserve for moving the ball, getting to the 1 yard line 2 different times, getting to the 3 yard line on a different time. And the Broncos, it's not like it was terrible yesterday, but it was average. So yesterday was average in terms of moving the ball.
Exactly, and I think that's a totally fair assessment. Seattle was good. Yesterday, I would actually say was bad. And they were able to make up for it. Like Russ, kind of covers up for some of your issues, which is what kind of the point I was getting at, which is like, we don't, I'm not saying like, or I think people are crazy to say Russ is washed or anything like this. I am worried about the running. I want to see Russ run. And I want to know, is this a Nathaniel Hackett thing or is this a Russell Wilson thing? And maybe it's an early season thing where they're saying, hey, you don't need to be going out there and taking shots in week 2. We don't necessarily need you to be that guy right now. But you look at like the Cardinals yesterday and the Cardinals in week 1. And they've got Kyler Murray trying to do the same thing. They're like trying to keep him in the pocket. Well, eventually you're down 20-0 in the game and you just have to take the reins off of Kyler. And Kyler goes crazy, leads you all the way back when you just let him go be Kyler. So at some point you're going to have to let Russ go be Russ. And I hope that Russ wants to still be that guy.
But the issue is, and one of the reasons he did not like being in Seattle and wanted to be to be with a different coaching team and a different philosophy, is because that's what the Seattle Seahawks did throughout his career. They said in the first through third quarter, you're going to be this pocket passer. We're not going to let you do what you do. Maybe it's to protect you. Maybe it's to protect us. Obviously, they didn't view Russ as the caliber player that I think we do and that Russ does. And then in the fourth quarter, that's when they let him go off and he would do his thing and have great fourth quarter comebacks. The Broncos should not be following that exact same path here.
Certainly not.
And it shouldn't be the first 3 quarters of a game and then unleash him in the fourth. And it also shouldn't be the first 3 quarters of a season and then unleash him in the fourth. Obviously, best case scenario is that Russell Wilson turns into a pocket passer and an elite pocket passer as he gets older, as his legs go. But it wasn't going to happen overnight. It was not going to happen in this offseason. So Nathaniel Hackett, I understand what he wants to do, but you can't jeopardize this year. You can't jeopardize the first half of this year. You can't jeopardize however long it's going to take, because it may not ever happen. And that's what the Seattle Seahawks bet on, is that it was never going to happen. I do believe that Russell Wilson will be able to transition to that. But I think it's starting a little too harsh in, like, let's transition this fully right now.
Well, and I don't think it's a decision, though. I think it's a physical problem. I think what we've seen, I mean, the one time last night he tried that, like, reverse rollout. He didn't get any separation from the defensive lineman, just had to chuck the ball away. Like, we have not seen those legs work at all, even back behind the line of scrimmage. Like, that's what's concerning. I don't even think it's a decision. I think it's just, that's kind of where we're at now.
I think that's what we have to find out. We need more time to know. And if the case is that he's not physically able to do that, that's a lot more concerning than they're trying to, keep him in the pocket.
If that's the case, then the Seattle Seahawks were right in their assessment that his, not that he's washed, but what that report 2 weeks ago said was they thought his mobility was going down and they didn't think he could transition as a player. If his mobility is definitely down and not coming back, yikes.
Yeah, I just think it's really important to remember that on Monday Night Football, Russell Wilson was 70% completions at 340 yards.
I said if. I said
no,
if.
I know.
I'm not
just
saying he is there.
I just look at the comments. People are saying, like, we need to scheme guys open. And it's like, well, in week 1, they were scheming guys open all over the field. Week 2, it didn't work. So, like, I feel like the bad feeling of the loss from week 1 is spilling over into the bad feelings of the things that went wrong yesterday. And I think it's just two completely different stories for those two games, and I think people are trying to mix it into one. The Nathaniel Hackett time management and that stuff, that is one thing that has been a clear thread through both games, and that is a big concern, and it's the big thing that, like, has him getting dunked on left and right now. So that one is you have to get right. But the offense was great on Monday Night Football. And they didn't finish drives. And so, a couple individual mistakes cost you what should have been a coming out party for that offense. 30-plus points, and everyone's feeling great. You lost that game. Yesterday, I think you had a bad game plan. You lost the players, and you didn't adjust well to it. And that's a whole different story.
At what point, though, do these little things, and I agree, there's a lot of little things. I mean, Broncos were 2 yards away in week 1 to scoring 14 points. You had 3 more at 5 yards away from scoring 21 points there. But at what point do you get worried about all these little things adding up? Because in week 1, I did overlook them. Now that it's happened, and there's just a lot of these little things that are adding up, I'm concerned. I'm not pressing the panic button. I'm not saying this is all failure and it's not going to work, but I'm to that point. And I don't think you're there. And I think that's fine that you're not there. But at what point do you guys get there?
I think just about everybody's worried about it. I mean, that many penalties.
And that's okay. I'm not saying you're wrong for that.
Worried about it? It's certainly on my radar. What I'm saying is I'm going to give them the leash. I'm going to say I'm going to give you the first quarter of the season to eliminate that. Now, if you're 1-3 through that first quarter, well, you have a ton of work to do on the back end. And as we know, the schedule is harder on the back end. Doesn't mean it's impossible. But to me, it's still too early to say, like, this team is just a team who commits a ton of penalties and makes a bunch of mental errors.
Yes.
Now, if it happens again next week, that is a trend. That is a pattern. You have a very big problem. 2 weeks is, all right, I'm going to give you a free pass here, especially because you're 1-1. If you were 0-2, I don't think I would be doing it. But I'm going to give you a free pass here to say this was early season weirdness.
Okay, and just one thing to add, because I think that's totally fair. Just what scares me of when I think of that and try to have that mindset is I'm like, well, shit, the San Francisco 49ers are a much better team than these first two teams.
Yep. I'm really excited for that game.
Me too.
Spent my entire adult life winning money on Russell Wilson as an underdog in primetime.
Oh, wow.
And it's already there. The Broncos opened as a 3-point favorite. They've already moved to underdogs on the line, and I can't wait for it because I think this is when you are going to see vintage Russ. In that game, I think you're going to see him have to be a little bit more creative because they have such a stronger pass rush.
I was going to say, that's what scares me, though, is the pass rush is so good.
But I think that's what makes it such a good matchup for Hackett. With, I mean, the mistakes he's making are the kind of what you have to do to beat a team like the 49ers. You know, you need all the little screens to keep them at bay. You need the reverses. You need the misdirection. It's when you play the Texans that you need to just run the ball straight up the middle 80% of the time and just guarantee yourself a win. So I do think that this scheme sets up really well considering it's the 49ers.
You need Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah,
You do.
You need
him. Russell
Pat
Wilson
Surtain,
without
Quinn
Jerry
Miners.
Jeudy. It was the Cortland Sutton show, and if it didn't work with Cortland, it really wasn't going to work with everyone else. I know we talked about how Tyreek Cleveland had a nice catch, but just the way the way Russell Wilson operated, it was like, where's Cortland? Oh, he's not free. Let me try this other option. And
that's just a talent issue.
he was 7 for 20 when throwing to guys not named Cortland Sutton, and that even included the couple of passes to Jerry Jeudy.
He was
I
1
don't
for
even-
2 to Jeudy, I believe.
Yeah, you need Jerry Jeudy.
You do.
You do. I mean, if you don't have him, then you need KJ Hamler at least. And that's not a 1-for-1 replacement at all, but it at least gives you a dynamic player because once you took Jerry out of the game, there was no dynamic nature of any of those guys out there. It was like if they weren't schemed open, which Tyree Cleveland was twice, then they weren't open.
Right, and then I'm at the point where, we talked about all offseason with KJ Hamler. We're not going to count on him. We're not going to factor him in.
You're not, but you just have to.
Now I'm really there with him.
Yeah, and they said it was precautionary, right? Not playing him yesterday.
I've never seen that before. 1 week on, 1 week off as precautionary, but that is what they said.
And maybe it's an overlooking the Texans scenario, which is kind of what I almost felt like with neither Jerry or Pat coming back was like, I think we can get through this one without them, which is a little scary. But it worked. You got away with it. But what I'm saying is if it was precautionary that KJ didn't play last week, and Jerry can't play this week, you don't have the luxury of precaution.
No.
You have to play him.
No, absolutely. I mean, right now, Cortland Sutton's their only NFL receiver. Like,
Yes.
Kendall Hinton was a practice squad guy. Like, he went unclaimed.
He literally is a practice.
Montrell
squad guy.
Washington, we love the return ability and all that, but that's why he made the roster. It wasn't because he can play receiver at an NFL level right now. Tyree Cleveland, he's a special teamer. Like, you have one NFL receiver, and that's just going to be really ugly if you don't get Jerry or KJ.
Yep. And KJ's, still to be seen if he can truly be an NFL receiver now.
A
He has
mile
the best-
better than...
Yes. He has the best tape of anyone by a long shot. But he certainly hasn't proven anything at this level. So hopefully you have both. But at least the reports that came back on Jerry and Pat are good. Pat especially because I was talking to someone late last night who was a lot more concerned than at least the way it came out today. That leads me to believe that he's not going to be out there this Sunday because when I was talking to this person, it sounded like they were worried about short-term IR as an option. Now, it doesn't look like that's the case. Thank goodness. He's listed as day-to-day right now, but that doesn't feel like you go from thinking it might be 3 or 4 weeks to thinking it might be 3 or 4 days.
It's a bad week for Jimmy Garoppolo to be back, that's for sure. Because
Very
he was really, really sharp when he got into that game yesterday. There's throws all over the field, like down the sideline, these deep outs. You're just like, Trey Lance doesn't do those sorts of things. I remember
Trey actually looked good in the first drive, but we said it all last week. As long as you get Trey Lance, this should be an easy win. Well, now it's not.
Now you're playing the team that was in the NFC Championship game last year.
with Debo and Kittle. Brandon Ayuk has he's done more than Jerry Jeudy has. Got drafted the same time. Like, that's a scary group of receivers that they could be throwing to without Pat Surtain and Justin Simmons.
Totally.
Who concerns you more this week not having them, Jerry or Pat?
Jerry.
Me, it's Jerry as well. That defense,
Yep.
they're not going to look as good going up against an average offense. like they have the past 2 weeks, but the offense, I think, needs Jerry this week more than the defense needs Pat.
Yep.
Dang, did that game already start? I forgot to get my
Yeah.
bets in.
Yeah, it has started.
No.
We're due for a double header tonight.
Fixing my stuff. Well, it's already 6-0 Bills.
Let's go.
Go.
Yeah, I think you need to have Jerry just because it's a lot easier to scheme your way out of not having a guy on defense than it is on offense, in my opinion.
Well,
Now, the flip side of this would be everyone wants the Broncos to run the ball more. If you don't have Jerry, you're definitely going to run the ball more in that game plan. But you're going up against a much scarier front seven.
And I think it's easier to absorb losing Surtain the way they've been playing defense. You know, when you're sitting back off the receivers, like you're not using Pat Surtain saying like we need you to go be Pat Surtain, the all-pro, pressing up, playing man every play. There's a lot of just dropping back. Not I think Damari Mathis can step in and do not everything Pat can, but if they're playing that conservative, a lot of it.
Yep. So Henry, I need your final decision there. Better or worse after watching the film?
I think I feel worse. I think I feel worse. Yep.
Very casually said.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Zach, you?
I feel worse as well.
Wow, you guys felt pretty bad yesterday.
I did.
You feel worse today? Yeah. All right, we've already talked about that.
It's just, Ryan, really quick to just add to that. It's just now it's a second week in a row, and watching it didn't make me feel better about it.
All right.
Yep.
Watching it, definitely made me feel better about it.
Good. I'm glad.
Got one of us.
Yes. All right. I want to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. And this is the perfect time to tell you, tomorrow, we're using Game Time to go to the Rockies game. It's actually supposed to be one of the last, summer days of the year tomorrow. So we're taking advantage. We're going to the Rockies game. And to give you a little, inside just how affordable it is to go to the Rockies game, we're taking, our whole staff. And it was $120.
That is incredible.
We use the Game Time app, and you can use the Game Time app by going through our link in the description. Allie's showing you right here how you get to it. But we're going to the Rockies game tomorrow. You can come join us because we got our tickets on the rooftop. We got reserved seats on the rooftop, but we'll be hanging out on the rooftop, having some drinks, having some fun. And you can come join us. Use the Game Time app. Get any ticket, honestly, and then you can just come hang out on the rooftop, which is a cool thing about Coors Field. But look at that. You can get great seats for cheap. You can get, bad seats for even cheaper. There's not really a bad seat at Coors Field, but a cheaper seat for even cheaper. But that's right around where we'll be right there. So come hang out with us tomorrow and make sure to check out Game Time for all of your ticketing needs, including if you're going to the Broncos game this Sunday, which I think I am, and I think I'm going to use Game Time to go to.
And really quick on Game Time, yesterday morning to today, prices for the Broncos Sunday Night Football game have dropped, I think, 10%. On Game Time. So maybe they'll continue to go down. I don't know, but you get a discount if you've waited 6 days before. You can get a ticket there. Allie's pulling them up. Looks like we got $200 for section 229. Pretty darn good. It's cool what they have going on.
That's
and
crazy.
When you go to the Broncos game next week, of course, you got to come to our tailgate, which is in the parking lot of Sports Fan, and all this cool memorabilia that we have. So much of it is from Sports Fan. Looking at a Broncos baseball jersey here. We've had some awesome shorts on the set as well. You got to stop in at Sports Time. But of course, if you're not going to the game, you can find Sports Time.
Sports Fan?
Sports Fan, yes, I'm sorry. For your sports time across Denver, they've got 4 different locations, 1 in Park Meadows, 2 on 16th Street Mall, and the 1 on 18th and Federal, which is, of course, where the Broncos tailgate is. Pop by, whether you're looking for just a very basic Broncos or Rockies or Nuggets gear, or if you want something really cool, they've got it at Sports Fan.
They have everything.
Yeah.
They have everything. And also, us. We are here at the DMVR bar. We mentioned the tailgate, but the bar is always popping. It's only, 2 weeks away till they're on the road again. This is always the place to be whenever they're on the road. Whole bunch of new specials for members, all that sort of stuff. So make sure that you swing by when you get a chance.
Boom. See you at the tailgate this Sunday. It's going to be crazy. And also, it's starting at 1 p.m. So you will have a long time to tailgate, which actually is just a normal time for a college football game.
So those 10 a.m. Buffs games, when are you starting?
Well, that's different. They just don't give you that luxury when they make the game that early. But if it was a 7 or 6:20 Buffs game.
Oh, come on, though. When you were in college.
Oh.
I'm not necessarily saying now. What was the earliest you've woken up?
6 a.m.
6.
6
Yeah.
a.m. Yeah.
And then when did the drink start? At 6:15?
First drink 6:30.
Okay, there we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
6:15, or maybe like woken up with a mimosa.
Yeah.
I'm
There we
just
go.
there's no way I can get coffee down that fast. Like I have to drink coffee before
See,
I drink anything else.
Even back in your youth?
Yep.
a
I
shame.
discovered coffee, I believe, junior year of college.
Actually, to be fair,
Drank it every day
I thought
ever
you were going to
since.
say 7 years old.
Oh,
So
I wish.
I'm impressed.
No, I've always said if I discovered coffee earlier, I think I could have gone to Harvard. It's the only thing holding me back in my education was being tired.
At what point do you introduce your kids to coffee, knowing that information? I mean, is this like in the
freshman
baby,
year of
baby
high school.
bottle?
High school,
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
think.
That's fair. That's
I would say
fair.
high school too, for sure.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
At least you two are on the same page. That's
Yeah,
what really matters here.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know why I wasn't like I saw other people drinking coffee in high school and I didn't try it.
I kind of held out a little bit too. Thought it was a cool thing.
I feel like there's like better drinks now than there were when we were younger. Like a caramel macchiato wasn't around like when I was like in high school.
Yeah, but
Like
those are like you should just be drinking
That's a
black
milkshake.
coffee.
no, a little high school kid isn't gonna be drinking black coffee.
If you're drinking Burnett's, watermelon, you can drink black coffee.
That's fair. That's very
Oh,
fair.
I get it. For nets.
Hey, we
That's
do
like
not
just
encourage
schnapps.
underage drinking here at that
Wait, does
age.
Hank not know what Burnett's is?
What were they
The way
drinking
he's,
up?
like,
No, he
confused.
doesn't.
What?
Do you not know
Beer.
what Burnett's
No.
I drink beer.
You guys, so wait, at
in your freshman year
University
of college?
Oh, that's just like a vodka.
Wait,
No
Yeah.
way.
your freshman year of
No
college,
way.
what were you drinking?
University of Montana,
I mean,
what
a
are they?
lot of beer.
what are they
A
put-
lot
You
of
were
beer.
drinking
No
Brett
hard
beer,
alcohol?
right?
There was definitely some hard alcohol. I mean, I wasn't asking questions.
Was it like-
It was just like whatever somebody had. All my
I
friends were
assume
older
you were
Was it
than me.
drinking
like
plastic
Sky
bottle
vodka?
vodka.
I was probably just drinking melted down plastic bottles because that's all they had.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy. I mean, honestly, if you leave Burnett's in the bottle long enough, it melts the bottle down.
Yes.
My
Believe it,
favorite
yeah.
Burnett's
Does
flavor
your
was
body.
strawberry banana because it tasted more like a smoothie.
I
Probably mix it in a smoothie,
even just thinking about it sends chills down my spine.
especially on a Monday afternoon.
We
Monday
have to
evening.
get Henry to try some Burnett's. That should be
Yeah, I
something.
typically don't even
no.
drink vodka.
You made it this far in your
We could all
life.
share.
Get a Burnett sponsorship.
Ooh.
I wouldn't even. I can't lie to the people and tell them they should drink that. Like I'd be like, it's really cheap.
I was gonna say good
That's
value.
all I can say.
Yep.
Great value.
Anyways, okay. Let's get back to this game. Tell me more about what Nathaniel Hackett had to say today and just kind of what the reaction was to that.
I mean, he just fell on the sword time and time again. And like I said, it was very different from last week, where last week, the very first thing he said was, I would do that fourth down differently. I would go for it. Of course. And this is kind of what he said. He said, of course I would go for it knowing how it went wrong. And then the rest of the press conference, he defended his reasoning for it. And that's fine. But he kind of backtracked from it. Today, it was falling on the sword, left and right, with getting information to Russell Wilson quicker, to letting Russell Wilson know exactly what the plan is. And one of the interesting things that he kind of threw in was, I need to let Russ know on a 3rd and 5. This is 2 down territory. So he doesn't know that because what it seems like now is Russ doesn't know that going into the 3rd and 5. Yeah, it is bad, and that is something that he needs to do. Getting information on whether you're punting or not right away so that you're not getting delay of game calls when you're about to punt, or you don't have to burn timeouts. Just on deciding what to do, because even on when the defense was out there, on a punt, you had to call timeout because Montrell Washington wasn't on the field, but then the defense was also still on the field during the punt.
Yeah, so it wasn't Montrell's fault.
Yeah, we didn't find out exact. It doesn't seem like it.
If the defense was out there, it's because they thought it was a defensive play call.
Well, the way he said it, I can't remember what the phrase was. Or something like it's the defense stay. We have our defense
Yeah.
stay out there, which means the defense stays. And basically, so it's like you're safe with that,
So
except
you're
you do sub on a returner for somebody.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but because they had just made whatever play to force the 4th down, the defense was too focused on celebrating the 4th down to actually realize they're supposed to stay on the field for the 4th down.
And Hackett actually said the celebration part, which is like, man, that's not a good look.
I know, but how do you not get excited when you oh, look, we got him to 4th down, and then you run off and you're like, oh, wait, yeah, like,
because you have to be able to. Yeah, I'm not saying get off my lawn, don't celebrate anything, but you have to be able to get information to your team, because there are going to be many
yeah.
points in a game where you hope you're celebrating on offense, defense, special teams. You have to be able to communicate
Yes.
through
That's
that.
where you just have all the coaches up on the
Right,
sidelines. saying,
exactly.
like,
That's what I was going to say. You
stay.
run out there and you say, stay, 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 stay.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else from him?
I asked Hackett if he needed to take things off of his plate, because he said there's just so much going on. And so I said, do you need to take things off your plate, like game management, like play calling? Of course, I wasn't criticizing his play calling at all. And he said, no, the play calling's been good. We've been moving the ball, which I agree with, and I think we all agree with.
Better than anyone in the NFL.
In some stats, yeah. So that's not going to change, which is good. I just don't go too far down the Vic Fangio hole where you're like, I can do it. I know better than anyone else. I'm just going to do it. If he changes his system this week and it's still just overwhelming, it's okay to have a game management person be on his hip the entire game. I know he has them in the booth, but that's not working right now. Just don't be afraid to ask for extra help would be my biggest advice to him.
Yes. The only place where I don't want him to do that, though, is play calling.
Yes,
He is here to call the plays.
Yeah, and I agree.
And, also he's here for the vibes, and that sort of thing. But you brought in an offensive coach. He needs to call the plays. And so if things need to come off its plate, it is game management, that sort of thing. And honestly, I'm fine with that. Like, no coach, if I asked you who's the best who's the best time management coach in the NFL right now, like, no one would know. You don't,
I bet Belichick. It's just what everybody would say.
Yeah, for sure. And he actually, he knows all the loopholes and all that stuff, so he's very good at that.
Cheating.
But he,
It
no
works.
coach makes their name off of being a good time management. So give that to someone else and say, hey, I'm going to let you, tell me what to do here.
Mm-hmm. On the way back, when I was thinking about him saying, like, there's so many voices, everybody's saying this, that, you run out of time, I was thinking, like, why are you even listening to anybody else? Like, I think with
like that.
with the analytics, this was my thought, and I'm not totally sure about it, but it's like, I don't think I need the analytics guy in my ear for those decisions. I think
Yes, you do.
No,
Yeah,
if you're like 4th and 3 at the 46, I don't need somebody to say like, oh, there's a 57% chance you win versus a 43. It's
I
like,
hope
no.
they aren't saying that. I hope they just say this is a go zone.
Yes,
yeah, but whatever it is, just like, like you go out there, you
Yeah.
can tell. Like modern NFL,
no.
you absolutely can.
The modern NFL, Hank, is using analytics. It is
Yeah.
having someone in your ear
But
saying, go for it. Now, where
I agree with Hank that you should just know what the analytics are in most situations.
one of the things that I don't know if this is something that any NFL head coach gets in their ear, but this is actually probably something that going into a game. Arnie Stapleton brought this up to Nathaniel Hackett last week. The longest field goal ever kicked at Lumen Stadium was 56 yards. That is something that you should have in the
Someone
back of
else.
your head. Yes, but and there should be information to you. And again, that's probably not the right time where someone's going to come in here and say, "Hey, it's a 6 yards longer than the longest field goal ever made at this stadium." But it's that information and having that. I just think it needs to be one person that's communicating with Hackett, and Hackett throughout the week says, "This is the information I want. This is the information I want. Don't give me this. In the fourth quarter, I want this certain information." That and Nathaniel Hackett talked about the process, and he said the process is off. And to me, that's kind of what it is he's still trying to work out all the kinks of the information he needs, but I completely disagree, Hank. I think he does need that person. However, I will agree with you, Nathaniel got here for a reason. He needs to, at the end of the day, be trusting himself with the final call, but still collecting information. But he got here. He's the one making the call. He's the one that has to stand up on a podium for 10 minutes the day after a game and absolutely just be destroyed by questions about how things went wrong. So he needs to be the one making the final call, not just hearing it from 5 different people and being confused.
I hope he took Russell Wilson's advice last night, which was, you just won your first ever game as an NFL head coach. Don't let anyone steal your joy. Because
I think he did.
you think he took his advice?
Yes,
Good.
Last night, I do think he did. His vibe at the podium was very different than Broncos country. It seemed like he felt like he was talking about a win after a game, which it was. He was enjoying it. Today, though, the vibe was, I don't want to say as down as it's ever been, because it's not like he was down on himself, but it was very, I think, what is it? He understood the situation.
That tells me he's too online.
Maybe.
Or could it be?
Or he realizes.
Or could it be Mr. Patrick Smythe getting in his ear after last week, where after that press conference the day after the game, people are like, dude, this guy said one quote and then just defended all of his actions. I think this might have been like hey, the best thing to do here is just take the sword, fall on it, and hope it gets better.
Maybe. I got the feeling, because I watched it too, I got the feeling that he felt the vibes from outside.
Yeah.
He could feel that, everyone was essentially acting like it was a loss.
Yeah.
And I don't even really want him to know that.
No, definitely not.
Just go win, take care. I said this on the watch along. I said it before, and I said it all last week. Russell Wilson's, and you don't want it to always go this way, but Russell Wilson's never been like a win 40-10, blow you out type of guy. Like, when it's a close game, he's the guy who pulls a rabbit out of his hat at the end and makes a huge play for you and you win a lot of the time. And when you're playing a bad team, a lot of time he just does enough, and it's going to be really frustrating. But for me, it's like, Nathaniel Hackett, there is a lot to work on. But you should just say, like, we've got a lot to work on. We learned a lot. I'm glad we won.
And this is it has to be like a horribly overwhelming time for him, because it's the first time that there's actual feedback on what he's done. Mm-hmm. All the way through, like, you're now playing games and saying, oh, we have penalty problems. Oh, I made these mistakes. Oh, there's this. Like, for the first 6 months or whatever, it's like, yeah, you're installing an offense. There is that. You're going through, but that's all structured. You have your whole, like, course lined out, basically. You're going through all these things. Everything's just planned and planned and planned. Now everything finally gets put to the test. You see what works. You see what doesn't work. And the things that don't work, you have to spend all of your time trying to fix. And so with all of that going on in the background, knowing that there's, like, this and this and this, like, I'm not surprised he wasn't running around all chipper on a day like today, because that had to have been a pretty late night for him, and there's going to be a bunch of them.
Well, and also, I mean,
and they had a short week last week.
True.
The vibes flipped in an instant. Nathaniel Hackett had maybe one of the best off seasons that a head coach can have leading up to their first season, because he's so positive. He's the opposite of Vic Fangio. He's bringing the vibes. The Broncos get Russell Wilson. He's this great personality that everybody loves. And then week one, and a fourth quarter decision at the end of the game, it all flipped. And then it got just more dumped on top of him this week. He went from the most loved coach that a team could have to now he is not just getting killed by local media, but national media. Adam Schefter was talking about the Broncos today. Adam Schefter is very connected with the Broncos, so typically 99% of the things that he says are positive because he wants to keep that good relationship. It was as negative as I've ever heard Adam talk about anything when he was talking about Nathaniel.
What did he say?
He went through all the bad things. When asked about, where do things stand with Nathaniel Hackett out, all he said was the bad things. And said this is the play clock thing, something he's never seen in the history of NFL, how embarrassing it was, and just how just 2 games in, kind of what I'm saying now, just how all of that goodwill is gone.
And, I mean, that's not going to change. I guess we talked about this a little bit last night after the game, but, like, that is who he is now. Every national reporter made some sort of joke about him during that game yesterday. Like, I just about all of them. I mean, you had the betting account of whatever betting website that was come out and say Russ is cooked. Like,
which is like,
and then say like we're
where was that for Aaron Rodgers after he sucked in week 1? Because again, revisionist history. Russell Wilson was awesome in week 1.
Yeah, but then they go out and say like we're giving a free bet to everybody who had an MVP Russ ticket, and it's like that's the type of joke that the Broncos have
also
been.
That same account used like a Donald Trump meme to say like Nathaniel Hackett. It was like Trump saying like there is no strategy. We have no strategy.
There's
so
other
weird.
national accounts making memes of Nathaniel Hackett. And to Hank's point, what Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur in Green Bay have for them is they have a winning history for 3 years with Matt LaFleur.
Russ is the winningest quarterback in the first 10 years in NFL history.
I'm not, but this is a new team. I'm not saying these people are right by any means. I'm just saying that this is a whole new scheme or whole new team and identity. And in the first 2 games, this is the identity that they painted themselves.
Yeah, the one about that, how Russ has been terrible through the first 2 weeks, is like, what? Did you watch the games?
Yeah.
The other thing here is you're on national TV this week. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And I say congratulations in earnest because congratulations, you have a chance to flip the narrative. And if I were Nathaniel Hackett, this is exactly what I would want. Full national spotlight. I want to show everyone that they're wrong about me.
You get that opportunity.
But the other side is very real too. And I tweeted it out today. I said the whole NFL world is going to be watching, salivating, waiting to pounce on the carcass of the Denver Broncos. And you can either shut them up or you can pour gasoline on that fire that's burning right now. And it makes for a really, really compelling storyline of what's going to happen. Like, this is an actual question. Will the Broncos get a delay of game next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. You got bet yes.
The Broncos had 2 delay of games last year. 2. They have 5 or 6 in the first.
4, I believe, right now.
I think it's 5. Okay, well, 4. Either way, they've doubled their delay of games in 2 games from what they had last year with not a good coaching staff, what they had last year. So, yeah, I'm going to say they do.
And it's not even just this week, though. I mean, this is going to be like a whole national storyline that plays out for at least a month and a half. Because, I mean, they've got the Raiders after that. Sure, that's like a normal 225 game, whatever. Still fewer games on, more people watching. After that, you got Thursday night with the Colts. After that, you got the Monday night? Sunday night.
No,
Monday. It is Monday with Chargers. Game against the Jets, nobody will watch. And then you're the only game on in London that morning.
And, Henry, to play off of that, if I would have told you there's one game where you can bury something bad, you can bury a game, you'd probably say it was yesterday, a 2 o'clock game against the Texans, or the Jets game at home, a midday game. And even with that opportunity for this thing to go under the radar, all these national people picked up on it. So, Ryan, I think that is even, can you add more than gasoline on a fire? Because I think it's going to be like that much more intense. I mean, you're
gotta
just throwing
be a
like
more
grenades
flammable
in
thing.
that or something. You're throwing in Power Field at Mile High seats in there. We know how flammable those
Very
things
flammable.
are. And so I mean, it's a great point. It's a huge stage.
It makes for a huge storyline, and you know, all I can do is just like cross my fingers and pray that they don't screw it up again, because everyone will be just waiting to pounce, the whole country.
And we've been waiting for a good Broncos team, for positives, Ryan. And maybe this is why I know a lot of people have been getting on me for being so intensely negative and harsh on this team. It's because maybe this is our fault. The expectations for the first time in like 6 or 7 years were like legitimate playoff expectations. And I just feel like the team's let me down so much in these first 2 games. Now they're 1-1. Again, the season's not over by any means. Getting the W yesterday was huge, but it just feels like, man, these teams in the past, we didn't really think that they were going to be good. So then they're struggling midseason. It's like, okay, let's just be positive about them. This team, they have a chance to be good. And it's just disappointing to see it not live up to it. So I'm not trying to be, I don't want to be negative on this team.
That's the thing right now, though, is we just don't know if they're good or not. And that's why it's so stressful. Because they're so, like, you know, it's simple as to put things in Madden terms. Is this a 70 overall team? Is this a 90 overall team? We have no idea, but we're just figuring it out week by week. You know, when Peyton Manning was here, it's like, oh, it's an ugly win. Yeah, I mean, they it's about winning games. They're either going to win 10 or they're going to win 13 or whatever. And sure, you can pick things apart a little bit, but you do know that that's what it's about. And that's why, like, right now, the wins don't even feel like it's what it's about. It's about, like, oh, are you good or are you not good? We don't know, but the signs aren't great.
Yeah. What's crazy is there's so much going on right now and so many things to think about and, you know, so many things to criticize that I think things that would normally earn coaches grace are not happening, or just teams. Like the fact that Justin Simmons, Jerry Jeudy, Pat Surtain for the second half, like Quinn Miners, all those people were out for that game, you know, not to mention Billy Turner, KJ Hamler. In a normal setting, you would be able to look at that and say that's one of the explanations for why they didn't play at their best. But because of the way things went wrong at the end of Monday Night Football, and because it's a brand new thing, and because a narrative has already been planted, people aren't thinking about that. And I get it, but to what Henry was just saying, are they good or are they bad? Well, they're definitely not good without several of their best players. And most teams wouldn't be. Now, some teams can withstand that. But I think the truth is they are good. They're not quite great. They are good. But without their best players, they aren't. They're average.
And I'm excited to see against a good team in the San Francisco 49ers just how good they stack up, because these first two teams are supposed to be gimme games, and they've been nothing but gimme.
Yep. What is a gimme is that Mile High City sliders are incredible. They tasted the best yesterday that they've tasted so far. Maybe it was just because
getting better.
Regular season was in the air. The preseason was gone. And those things were so good. I had 3, 2 jalapeno poppers, 1 Cajun barbecue, and man, I probably could have I could have done it the other way around and been just as happy. They were so good. So you got to come by the tailgate and have those because they're delicious. And if you want them for your event, you can call our friend Dominic at 720-375-3464 to set them up to come to whatever event you have going on.
Man, next week those things are going to be tasting even better. So you're telling me as the season goes on, things can get better?
They can.
Ah, wow. And I believe that could happen as well. And one of the things that you're going to want to do for this week, and maybe you're on it now, is over at DraftKings Sportsbook. You can get in on all the action. A doubleheader Monday night. What a perfect time to put together a parlay. If you've already missed the first game, get in on a same-game parlay for this next game.
Yeah, I just put my bets in.
You can actually do what they're calling an SGPX. Now, I'm calling it SGPP. Same game parlay. But you can combine your same game parlays from multiple games to create a super same game parlay.
Ooh,
so
you put one of those in?
I had one cooked up, and then I got distracted. I was working on the TVs downstairs. They're calling me ITRK down there.
No, they're not.
Several people are calling me that.
Hey, keep them in line.
No, they're not.
I was running around, and then I didn't even realize the game started, so I didn't put in my SGPP.
Well, you can do that this week. You can do it on Friday, I'm sure, with college football, Saturday, college football, Sunday, NFL. Man, you could have one. You can combine one on like the 11 a.m. game, 2 p.m. game, and then cap it off with the Broncos game as well. So make sure to head to the App Store now, because when you use the promo code DNVR for new customers, you get $200 in free bets by placing a moneyline bet on any NFL team to win a game. And then boom, you get $200 in your account in free bets right away. That's all you have to do. Use that promo code DNVR over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 and make sure to see the show notes for all of the details. And speaking of DraftKings, let's hand out our DraftKings pick of the week. We've talked about San Francisco a tiny bit. Looking ahead, there's one number in this game for the Broncos that I like early on, and that's the under to this game. We talk about, the Broncos offense going to have a tough time going up against this 49ers defense. We'll flip that around. 49ers offense going to have a tough time going up against this Broncos defense. The over-under right now is at 46 points. Neither the Broncos nor San Francisco hit that last week. Neither team hit that the week before. No team in the 4 games that's been played has hit 46 points. I think it is going to be the under with 46. Who knows if they win or lose? We'll get to that later in the week, but I like the under.
I like that. I'm going to go something that you can bet on right now for the game that's just about to happen in 20 minutes, and that is Vikings at Eagles. I'm going over 25.5 yards for A.J. Brown's longest catch in this game. He was cooking last week and just open all over the place, and I think they're going to keep going to him. I also think he's probably going to get a little more attention from the Vikings defense, which is why I'm also taking Devontae Smith over 3.5 receptions in this game, because I think he's going to be open a little bit more. So either one of those, but officially A.J. Brown over 25.5 yards as his longest catch.
I'll go to Thursday night. Steelers +5 against the Browns. The
Might as well
Steelers
take that money line because you have the early win token.
Oh,
7
that's
points.
5 points is so many though. 5 points is so many points.
All you need is a touchdown, Hank.
Maybe you split the bet.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Sprinky on one side.
Yep. But I
Only have to
mean,
What
get
are we
up
talking
7.
for money line?
plus 170.
Okay.
All you
not
have to do
bad.
is score the first touchdown and you win.
Yeah, but what if they don't?
Then you're in trouble.
And then they
Worked
lose
for
by
us
3.
last week.
And then they lose by 3.
Did.
I don't know. I mean, what? They lost 17-14 or 20-17. It was 3 points to the Patriots this week. The Browns are bad. And what? They just lost to the Jets this week?
Yep. Gave
So-
a massive lead.
Yep. Steelers +5. I love it.
Okay, there we go. I like it as well. I also like talking to the people. Should we hop into the comment section?
Let's absolutely do so. I'm currently I have a $50 free bet. And when I get a free bet, I like to get a little crazy with it.
Oh.
And some people would say, "Wow, $50 free bet. You know, that's a good chance to just make $50. Like, make a smart bet, win it." No, not me.
Yeah.
I want to win more money than I would ever normally win because I would never put $50 on something kind of crazy.
Feel the exact same way.
So, just help me real quick. Who's going to score touchdowns in this Eagles and Vikings game?
I just put Jalen Hurts.
And I think it's going to be a shootout.
Justin Jefferson
So I
for
have
sure.
Justin Jefferson and I
gotta
have
be.
Jalen Hurts already punched in.
Yep.
Throw Dalvin Cook in there.
Ooh.
Okay, 1 rushing. I like that. I need so I have 2 touchdowns. I need another touchdown for the Eagles. AJ Brown?
Sure. Why not Devontae?
I mean, we could get Devontae in there too.
You saw
Do
Boston.
you think there's going to be a lot of touchdowns?
Saw
I'm already at
Boston.
plus 1,300 with
Oh,
Dalvin,
baby.
Jefferson, Hurts, and AJ scoring.
$650 payout coming your way.
I mean, we saw Boston last week from the Eagles.
Dallas
and
Goddard
Miles.
would be a good play.
Oh,
man.
Dallas is a good one.
What if you just go with the super long shot to
Steve
bump
is
this
saying
thing
Miles
up
Sanders.
to plus 10,000?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just crazy.
Thought you were looking for a big payday.
I mean, even if I just threw on Devontae Smith, all of a sudden we're at plus 6,000.
Oh my goodness, that is wild. Now it does feel like you're just burning money,
60 to
burning
1.
a free bet.
It's not
that
money.
Doesn't exist,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's true. It's,
It's
very
monopoly
true.
money.
Yep.
Wow.
650. If Justin Jefferson, Jalen Hurts, Dalvin Cook, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith all scored touchdowns in that game, $3,000.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Did you place it?
Have it yet?
You really think it's going to be a shootout? I really don't think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really do.
You're gonna need a shootout for that.
The
to
worry,
happen.
my worry is I think there's going to be plenty touchdowns scored. I just feel like some people are going to score multiple.
Jay
Oh, you can
says
actually add
Devontae
that.
Smith due for a big game.
Well, then do
True.
the 2 touchdowns for Justin Jefferson. Didn't he get that last week in the first half?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He's sick.
He's so good.
He is very
George
good.
Payton draft pick.
No, that's right.
It's true. I'd love to ask him. I mean, I think I know the answer, but
What?
if you were on the board at 15, would you have taken Jefferson over Jeudy? Now, it would be really easy for him to just revision his history that and say, yeah, of course I would have taken Jefferson, and I'd have to believe him.
Right.
But I want to know the truth on that.
We know he wouldn't have taken Jalen Rager though.
No.
With the way that team celebrated.
Jalen
that draft room
Rager will
celebrated.
also be playing against the Eagles tonight.
He certainly will be.
Man, that would be a
Revenge game?
long shot one to throw in
Yes,
there.
it would be.
Revenge game?
But that would be one that maybe the Vikings want to do.
Yep.
Antonio says, tell Arcade to stop being chicken and place the bet.
There we
Well,
go.
I'm
Stop being chicken.
I
Place the
want to
bet.
put Justin Jefferson 2 touchdowns in there and take
Do it.
Dalvin
Ooh.
Cook off.
I like
Yeah.
it. You gotta think Dalvin's gonna get one though. If it's a shootout, the running back get at least one.
He is probably
Goes to
like
plus
minus
9,000 if I
There we
take
go,
Dalvin off.
$4,500. Everyone's gonna be coming up to you this week at the bar wanting a drink if you hit this one.
Jalen Hurts touchdown, AJ Brown touchdown, Devontae Smith touchdown, Justin Jefferson 2 or more.
Oh man, why not just throw Kirk Cousins rushing touchdown
No.
in there? Come on,
Just gotta trust it.
do it. Yep.
Just gotta trust
We
it.
built it here. You guys heard it first on the pod. Boom. Placed.
It's placed.
I love it. I love it. And I love talking to people. Hop into the comment section.
Let's go.
All right. Do we have any super chats?
No super chats.
All right. Well, we got plenty of people in our chats over at thednvr.com. First one coming in from our
Oh my
friend
god, there's so many.
Chico Bean says, holy shoot, what the heck was that? all in caps, multiple cuss words.
He probably
Coach
said
Hackett
shit, yeah.
is worse than Fangio with the clock. Russ and Hackett need to work on communicating and getting on the same page on 3rd and 4th down. From the first half, I couldn't tell if it was Russ or Drew. Offense sucked.
I assume there's going to be a lot of comments like this.
There's going to be a lot, and I think it's okay to just let the people vent. Let their voices do the talking.
Kirk Smith, 44, says, I wonder if not taking every third day off in training camp would have helped with clock management, penalties, general game awareness, decision-making in the red zone, communication, and or timeout usage. Well, they weren't taking the days off. They were just going through walkthroughs, which would actually help with this sort of should help with this sort of stuff.
They said that they got like double the amount of reps in on those days than a normal day, which, like you said, Ryan, should help with these issues.
Yes. As Hackett said, good things coming through, so I cannot wait to see what this moron has ready for his third game as coach, especially in primetime on SNF. I'm guessing something like a fake punt pass from our own 20 that fails miserably, and then the replay will show that we only had 9 players on the field. Meanwhile, the Wonder Boy who got away is laughing from the other sideline, and his team, starting a backup quarterback, running back, and tight end, is doing laps around us. Man, I can't believe people are talking about Nathaniel Hackett like this. It's crazy to me.
And that's kind of the vibe out there. There's some people that are saying way too early, kind of like you, Ryan. 2 weeks, little concerned, but let's just let it play out. And there's other people that are literally calling for him to get fired already. And
Which
that's
is
another
insanity.
It is.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Kirk Smith 44 pointed out is another wrinkle in all of this. And we've talked about it plenty, but Kyle Shanahan's going to be on the other sideline. The guy that you had in here to interview. Now, John Elway's not in the building anymore, but to the national storyline, that's going to be part of
God,
this.
I hate national storylines. I wore the shirt for a reason today.
I love it. H-Town Broncos says, thank God we were only playing the Texans. I think Hackett is in over his head. He came off of Rodgers' success, and I'm starting to think he can't handle all the responsibilities on top of play calling. Worse clock management than Fangio and an absurdly laughable amount of penalties. When the fans are counting down the clock for you, you need to take a look in the mirror. On top of that, the Broncos have no dogs, and it seems kind of soft. Sutton and Kareem is it. No grit. Can't recover a fumble either. The football awareness is just not there. I really hope they can they can figure it out soon. Starting to get really worried about this season because no way we survive the division playing like this.
Randy Gregory, a dog.
Absolute dog. Absolute dog. And also, the fumble luck is going to turn.
Melvin, a dog. But yeah, go ahead.
The fumble luck is going to turn. It's just 1 of 7 is not. It's just not. That's not the way it happens. Like, and go watch those. I mean, you have one where Bradley Chubb strips the ball, it flies up in the air and lands directly in an offensive lineman's hands. Like, that's not a skill thing. It's just a luck thing. There's like a couple where you could say, yeah, you could have got on that one and you didn't. But most of it is just the ball bounces in weird ways, and it just happens to be bouncing to the other team right now.
Next one from RK's burner account, which may be RK himself if it's so obvious. Says, fellas, I heard of a great sale. 50% off lamps at this place on Colfax. Remind me of Zach because maybe a lamp could help him brighten the mood.
That's not what he said.
I love how he said
To brighten him up. My boy is being aggressively negative. To switch conversation, what grades would you give the new starters for the season? Obviously not including Russ. Well, RK's burner account, I mean, I was clearly, with these first couple comments, speaking for a portion of Broncos country.
Yeah, at least at the very least, a vocal minority.
Game grades will be up soon,
potentially a majority.
And there we go. Game grades will be up soon. Love it.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there in terms of new starters, grades. Just off the top of my head, Randy Gregory,
B+?
very good.
Very good.
A minus?
I would say A-.
Okay.
At least.
Yeah. B+. I'll go B+.
Okay.
Just a little more consistency.
One random thing that I just thought about from the rewatch today. They don't trust Jonas Griffith at all.
Nope.
They're getting him off the field as often as they possibly can.
And now it's not a surprise why they brought in Joe Schobert, why they tried to get, who was the guy that went to the Texas, or the
Anthony Barr.
Yeah, Anthony Barr. And this is why.
And
Thank God for Alex Singleton because he's making plays.
Remember that play where Singleton was in coverage on Cooks across the field we talked about yesterday?
Yeah.
That was just big zone coverage. He was, I think, supposed to pass him off to Jonas Griffith, who just stood there and then was like, oh, wait, who's that running by? And then ran behind him. Yikes.
Yep.
But, I mean, a couple loud tackles. Stuff to work off of.
Also, again, that's just like they just schemed him open on that play. It was just a good play.
Next one from Melbourne Broncos says, my boys, exceptional after game show as usual. So our defense is flying even without some key players. The offense, however, is a penalty-ridden mess. It's as if the NFL needs to have some sort of preseason game so starters can get used to a new system and a new quarterback. Oh, wait! They do. Luckily, we rested our stars like Jeudy, Simmons, Jewell, and Surtain in the preseason, so they didn't get injured. Sorry, guys. Sarcasm comes out so easy. I think our coaching errors will vanish soon, but it will be better quick before the playoffs get out of reach. Cheers.
So my question here is, would we just rather them get injured in the preseason?
They'd be back now.
I do think that this is now adding... and I don't want to be revisionist history, but it could play into Nathaniel Hackett's decision to play starters in the preseason next year of saying, well, shit, I mean, guys
They're
are
gonna
going to
get hurt
injured
anyway.
week one anyways.
Yep.
Might as well. Now, I'm not saying that's right,
I
but
hate that.
I
But
just took a quick trip through like all the inactives from this week across the NFL. Broncos easily top 5 most injured team in the league. Not that that's probably a surprise. It's kind of crazy. Like it does. What were we doing in the preseason if we're not going to be healthy anyway?
Yeah,
Right?
a lot of people calling for the strength and conditioning staff. I mean,
they've been calling for them for a long time.
I was gonna say
That's
I've always
it.
defended them.
Yeah.
It is kind of surprising though that they turned over a new staff and did not have any turnover at that position.
At the same time, though, it's like, what do you want on Jerry Jeudy's? Like he landed
I know
like that.
exactly.
Like,
That's what I've always said is like you can't save players from all their injuries. Like if you start seeing several hamstrings pop up, okay, well maybe there's something there. They're lifting too heavy or whatever. Like, but most injuries are just because football is an absolutely brutal sport.
Nash Bronco says, it's week 2, we won. I love the analysis you guys have been bringing. Honest criticism is always a good thing, but holy bleep, the issues we're seeing with this team are 100% correctable, and I expect they will be. We got to win, and it's too early to be calling for anything other than improvement from coaches and players alike. I don't give a bleep about style points, but I do give a bleep about bleeping stupid penalties. Everyone needs to tighten it up and come out clean against the 49ers, or we're going to hear a lot more aggressively negative numbies. If things go wrong at any point in this game against the 49ers, I think it's really bad that this is a home game because it's going to be a national embarrassment being on Sunday Night Football. You thought the crowd was bad yesterday. The crowd's just ready for what they're going to do this week.
it'll be fun if they drop 40, though.
It'll
be fun if they drop 40.
It'll be great.
I hope that Broncos fans do the countdown to the clock for the rest of time. I love it.
There's so many late snaps. Like if you weren't snapping the ball with like 1 second left so many times, I'd be down for it. It's just you just don't want to give the defensive lineman a chance to get that jump.
That's a decent take.
Ryan, how is it? It's such an embarrassment.
No, it's not. It's
Yes,
incredible.
No,
it's showing fan IQ.
No, it's
They were
such-
mocking him.
Yes,
I know
it's a
that you have to be
mockery.
smart enough to know that.
Yeah, it does show fan IQ, and to an extent, maybe it did help him, but that's embarrassing.
I loved it. I saw Kyle
think-
Brandt on Good Morning Football. Loved it.
Okay, I think you two are maybe the only people, or we have our pod poll.
We should
Yeah,
throw
that's a
it
good
to the pod poll. I thought it was fantastic.
Before
Keep
we toss it
forever.
out to the pod poll, how are we going to word it so that I want to hear from the people live right now?
Should Broncos fans always count down the play clock?
No. It's more so how you felt about it yesterday.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
Did you?
How did you feel about Broncos fans counting down the play clock?
Well,
Like
There's-
it was funny. It was embarrassing.
It helped the team.
It helped the team.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I like it.
Yeah, maybe we can just stop there.
I think it's gonna be overwhelmingly embarrassing.
Let us know in the comments if you had a
Yes,
different.
please. Junior Pancake says, my boys, look, I get the frustration with what's going on with the penalties and odd play calls, but man, the negativity is on another level, not just on the pod, but around Broncos country in general. Look, I'm not mad, just disappointed, fellas. Just because the Buffs and Rams are, let's just say, less than impressive, let's not take it out on the Broncos coaching staff just yet. Things could be worse. We could be the Carolina Panthers fans right now, LOL. Go get something from light shade and chill out, folks. Brighter days to come. I did not watch a snap of CU or CSU football, so that did not impact my mood yesterday. What impacted my mood was 25 penalties, the most in the NFL, play clock, game management issues, time and time again, and me barely beating one of two bad teams.
I watched 100% of the Buffs game. I watched about 60% of the CSU game. Both more enjoyable. less stressful than the Broncos game. The Buffs were dead after one play. I didn't have to think about it
Oh,
again.
you thought they were alive on that play?
Oh, yes. Yes,
Wow.
I did. I did
Bold.
until they fumbled the ball in the first play for the second game in a row.
I didn't want to do it on this pod last week, but I really wish I just would have done, I don't even know what you call it, a fade Colorado.
Parlay.
Fade Colorado football. But I wouldn't have even included the Broncos in there. But I guess I could have.
You could have, at least with the spread.
With the spread.
Yep.
Yep.
Whiskey Cat says, "Sup fam, just wanted to add my 2 cents regarding the booing and counting down the play clock from the crowd. Zach said it's the loudest booing since our misery began in 2017. A lot of people push back on that.
It's the most booing I've ever heard. There's no question about it. I
Yeah.
mean, it was 8 times, at least. I've not heard that as much.
But you know what? That means fans care. We've been in a world of suck for so long, we've forgotten what it's like to be invested. I've always been a proponent of Broncos fans' corrective booing, except for Manning versus Jags. See, this was the exact same thing to me. Let's just be excited the fans care because apathy is the fastest path to irrelevance. Cheers."
I agree, and the fans do care. A little surprised 3,000 no-shows for the first game of Russ's tenure. That did surprise me. Curious to see what it is on Sunday Night Football. I expect it's going to be fewer no-shows. Just hopefully it's not a bunch of 49ers fans.
Weather was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean,
Could have been because it's the Texans.
yeah, I
Still,
think.
it's first game of Russell Wilson era. It surprised me.
Yeah, it is surprising, and I don't have a way to explain it. Broncaholic says, "Hey guys, been a while since commenting for me, and my apologies in advance for venting my frustration. I'm extremely disappointed with Hackett and his constant idiotic mistakes this season. Hackett looks like he needs to buy and read a HCing for Dummies book. 0 whatever from the red zone this season. Hackett is treating that like a traffic light where he stops doing anything the team was doing successfully to get there. Zach, you were right on in the post-game comments, and if anything, you were not harsh enough." Little fun fact for you, RK. You mentioned the Cards game where they got a delay game before the successful 2-point conversion. The headsets and the helmet shut off when the play clock get to 15, and Cliff was still trying to communicate the call with 8 seconds left in the play clock. So I think they took the penalty on purpose to ensure they were all on the same page for the GAP, as Russ would say.
Game-altering play.
That does not make it any better for them. Probably makes it worse.
Yep.
Talk about your process being off.
Yeah, but this gets me wondering, did the Broncos rush to hire the worst of the young head coach candidates again, similar to hiring VJ while letting Kyle walk? KOC is making Kirk look like an MVP candidate. Remember, they've played one game. And Mike McDaniels just coached Tua to come back from a 21-point deficit in the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, Hackett can't keep from taking a delay game that cost him a field goal. Reminds me too much of VJ. I'll just say this. If the Broncos were in the same situation and they came back from a 21-point deficit against the Ravens yesterday after what happened in the Seahawks game, no one would be saying that Nathaniel Hackett coached them to that. They would just be saying, like, he got them in the hole and Russ got them out.
Well, but Mike McDaniels is now 2-0, though.
Yep.
They also beat the New England Patriots. So I think if it depends on what situation you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it just reminds me of, like, the should have drafted Josh Allen thing. And it's like, well, he might have gotten run out of town here before he had a chance to develop.
Ryan, just enjoy your little victory lap. You had Mike McDaniels. I had KOC.
I know.
We're looking
We did.
good right now.
I know. Mike McDaniel was my fucking guy.
Yeah, and KOC was mine.
Nathaniel Hackett's my guy too. I'll keep my wagon hitched to him.
Nash Bronco says, doubt this one will get read for time reasons, but Randy Gregory is a monster, and I've been super, super impressed with him so far.
Yep.
2 strip sacks, two forced fumbles leads the league right now.
Jay Rader says, RK is in denial about this team, from calling the offense in the first game beautiful to scoffing at Zach for saying coaching is at fault for the timeouts to continuous support of Hackett, who has been an absolute joke. The offense was beautiful in the first game. I will stay on that all day long.
It was really good. Yeah.
It was so good.
It was really good.
And they just didn't finish. Maybe it's having to watch CU play on Saturdays that makes him think this team hasn't yet been a joke, but open your eyes, RK. P.S. wanted to congratulate Hank on how much he's grown as a podcaster.
Well, thanks.
There you go,
I love
Hank.
this. Yeah. I said the same thing as RK last night.
Next one from Howler Bros.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Howler
was a
Bros
fun
Surf
one.
says, maybe, wait, was that you? Was that your comment then, Hank?
Maybe.
You just trashed RK,
I would never.
and then you complimented
I would
yourself.
never.
I like that. Hello Bro Surf says, maybe it's because I've just watched the box score on my phone live, but I was pretty pleased with the first half from the Broncos.
It's definitely that.
I love that.
Wasn't great, but it was better than the score the stats would indicate. But my God, we as fans, not you DNVR folk, just suck. You do not boo your team, especially in tied game in the second. What in the world, people? Get over yourselves. There's 70,000 people that disagree.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a hive mind mentality. When other people start booing, you just start booing too without thinking about it. But I really do think that booing your team in a close game can only hurt them.
Yes.
Helped him yesterday.
No,
Did
it
it?
didn't.
They got the win.
No, that doesn't. That's enough.
Oh, so we're
because of
crediting the
them.
fans,
with
booing
the
for them
win.
winning?
Maybe we're crediting the fans with counting the play clock down.
Yes, that was a great thing.
I lost RK
That wasn't-
there. It's just me now. No, it was a bad thing.
No, counting down the play clock was genius.
You want to see the update on the poll?
Yeah. Oh, we already posted the poll?
See
No,
what
I
the
put
live-
one on YouTube.
Oh.
See what the live poll
All right,
is.
we have 32 votes. 38% says funny, 31% says embarrassing, and 31% says keep it going.
You guys are too nice.
Hell
On
yeah,
Twitter,
baby.
It is going
Let's
to be
go.
very
Let's
different.
go.
We had so much nuance for them.
Reasonable people.
Twitter's just like first thought.
Well, yeah, no, only 32 sample size. It's going to be different.
We'll see. My tweet about how great it was got like 500 likes.
Wow.
So there's support out there for it.
Wow.
Corey Jones, 1976, says, hey guys, my wife and I attended the tailgate for the first time. It was amazing. We met RK at the bar and Henry at the tailgate. I mentioned to Henry that he's the voice of reason on the pod.
So true.
I do want to give my perspective on the sky is falling win. It was sloppy. It left a lot to be desired too. The injuries don't help as the team goes such a drastic adjustment. But with all that said, I still believe we have a better season than the team did in 1995. That was Shanahan's first year as a head coach. He and a very young coaching staff coached 12-year veteran quarterback by the name of John Elway. Around Elway was a rather younger team. They ended the year with an 8-8 record. Like that team, I feel this team is a season or two away from finding its identity. In many ways, this team is further ahead of the 95 team, but if Hackett wants to be a coach mentioned in the same breath as Shanahan, he'll need to learn how to make adjustments. Mostly, if he wants to be a long-tenured coach, he must avoid fielding a team that is prone to self-inflicted wounds. Anyways, the good news is that's all easily corrected, and I have the confidence that he and the team can do this.
There we go. I like the positivity there. And the chat, kind of on the other side, says, a bit of a rough start for the Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett era. Wilson has not looked sharp as I was expecting for 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a few players and other picks, and $245 million. What would this season look like for you to say at the end of it that Seattle won the trade? For me, the team is feeling like the exact same as last year and the many years before, just haven't seen a palpable improvement. If we don't see that improvement, was the trade really worth it?
It was worth it.
Always, but
No, but
you're gonna have to tell me what Seattle did this year and who the person they got with that first round pick, how they did this year.
Without looking at that, though, what would you have to say to be open to the possibility that maybe Seattle won the trade?
Losing record.
Okay.
To be open to the possibility, yeah.
But I'm open to the possibility for right now. Then if next year they go and have a great season, then it's out the window.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fair. That's fair. Next one coming in from Mel Burrow says, what's up, everybody? Unfortunately, I think we had too high of expectations for the team coming into the season. It sucks because we were all so hyped, but I think we need to lower expectations. I'm not trying to get too frustrated until week 5 or 6. Just sucks considering our division and history, but we aren't riding yet. I hope we get there, but trying not to panic.
Yeah, I mean, there's teams all over the country that are feeling this way right now. The Raiders are 0-2, and they blew a 20-0 lead.
Woo! And as Vic in the comment section saying, on a positive note, McDaniels is wrecking the Raiders.
Yeah, so, you can go around the league right now and point to teams who aren't feeling great. And you could probably do it every season forever about teams who don't feel great after 2 weeks. The Bengals are 0-2, and they lost to 2 bad teams. So, it's not... all I'm saying is it's not time to panic. There's time to correct this. And you're not even in a hole.
And this team won't look anything like it does now in December. Whether they have a chance.
Not.
Like, it's just so tough to believe. Like, something will change.
You hope that they look better in terms of the guys that are playing just because of all the injuries they're dealing with right now. Like, Jerry's out there, Pat's out there, Justin's out there, etc. Bronco Tiz.
They had those guys in week 1, though. They had all 3 of those guys you just mentioned in week 1.
Yes, and
I thought they looked good.
I did too. Javonte and Melvin lost the game for them.
Yep. But those things are just going to happen.
Yep.
And
That's the first time it's happened since 1987.
No, but not. No, we're going to. Okay, also against a bad team though. We're going to see costly fumbles. We saw it multiple times last year, and so you can't just be looking because I'm sure Seattle had something that went wrong in that game too. I mean, these things are going to balance themselves out.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we can't just be like, everything's gonna be fine.
No, there are things to correct big time.
Yeah.
They're not going to fix themselves.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is penalties for me. This is the one that is on the coaching staff. It's the hardest thing because it's on the coaching staff to coach it out of them, but they can't stop the players from just doing stupid things while they're on the field.
Yep.
And so that's like how many you can tell Cam Fleming all day, don't flinch on the hard count. If he does it, that's the coach's fault. I don't know. Probably last one we'll get to here. Got to get this out there. We have truly lost Broncos country. This is from Bronco Tiz. Who starts a damn countdown chant when we're trying to go up 2 scores? I think they helped him. Those individuals should be ashamed of themselves. This 100% has a negative impact and is no way useful. WWPD, what would Peyton do? Our offense needs to concentrate on the play and not some dumb chant when they're at the line. Trust me, Russ understands the play clock. I don't know about that either. I doubt those fans understand what it takes to get a playoff. And with learning a new system, we have miscues, especially without any preseason action to clean up. This team will clean up and win plenty. Those countdown idiots better not enjoy, as the wins are meant for truly faithful fans. I can't get behind this take at all. The team needed help. They couldn't get the plays off before the play clock ended. And after they started counting down, they no longer had any more delay of game penalties. All those people counting down did the team a great service.
Yeah, they helped them in a very embarrassing fashion. It was embarrassing, but it also potentially helped them. And I wouldn't even be surprised is at the start of the game we hear that play clock countdown from the fans
So
when it
funny.
starts at 10. And Bronco Tiz, unfortunately, you're going to not like a lot of people because of it.
So I plan to be in the stands. Now, I won't start it.
I don't think you're going to have to. Right?
But if it's going, I'm in. So in.
Okay, the rules are you start at 10 and you count down.
Sounds good.
Yep.
We have 50 people who voted, and now funny has taken 41%, embarrassing 31%, and keep it going 27%.
Wait, keep it going. Why is that an option?
Like, keep doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I won't start it. I'll let the game come to me.
You're not
But
going to have to
I will
wait.
join in. That is such good fanning. And we definitely cannot call them bad fans for doing that. That crosses the line for me.
Yeah. That crosses the line.
If
The
you
booing, though, it gets you in that conversation.
Booing is so much better than booing.
I don't mind either.
Fair enough. I guess we could do this one. Mrs. Quill, Alberto seemed to vanish after that drop. Do we think Russ just doesn't trust him yet? Any idea how his blocking has been? I've not seen anything awful jump out, but just feel like we need to see him as a receiving threat, especially with Jeudy out. He clearly wasn't a part of the game plan, and it's unfortunate because they needed him to be when Jerry went out, and he was rarely even on the field.
Yeah. And the passing game in general was really bad.
And he goes to Salbert. Also, more vertical throws. It's Russ's best quality. He's
100%.
putting them in good spots, and they're either making plays on the ball or drawing pass interferences.
Yep.
I mean, even Andrew Beck is out there drawing pass interferences or making plays on the ball. Like,
We're racking up special teams penalties.
give me like verts once every 2 series.
There we go. I'm all for it.
So Alberto was out there 38 to 72 snaps. 28% of the time he was on the field, they ran the ball, compared with 43% for the course of the game. So it is kind of interesting. It's a little more balanced than
One
last
target,
week.
0 receptions.
Oh, yeah, he had a terrible game.
Unreal.
Mm-hmm. One horrible misblown block, too.
Yep.
Terrible game.
All right. Well, our producer is an Eagles fan, and they kick off in 3 minutes, so I'm not going to make her stay here any longer. But I
Go Birds.
do appreciate everyone for tuning in. We've already run long anyway. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. And we will be back tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Go vote in that poll.